The Fantasmagorium is proud to present the Heather Langenkamp Happy Hour. Do you remember Nancy? She was terrorized by a demon. He was a very entertaining Kruger. That was the name of the fella. And he had razor claws and fashion sense. Well, Wes Craven created a whole new supernatural boogeyman that entered the zeitgeist and generated terror in a generation of children. And this is the 40th anniversary that we celebrate A Nightmare on Elm Street. My name is Scotty R37. Cat will not fall asleep. Ben will explode from a bed of blood. And of course, Steve is John Saxon. How are you guys doing today?
Good.
Great.
Nice to be back.
Appreciate the invite to talk about this wonderful occasion.
Well, it is. It is, I think, one of the best boogeyman movies ever. I think it's one of the best directed horror movies ever. It is
one of the most original, for sure.
Oh, absolutely, sir. Yes.
There's nothing like it, so.
Well, and also, I've seen this movie because we've celebrated this on Cinema Gulp. And I watched it earlier because I first acquired it. And I watched it. Today was the first time that I watched it with the audio commentary. And it was, and they said themselves, it was for the laser disc.
Oh, that's okay, yeah, because there's quite a few commentaries for this movie. I think there's at least 3 of them.
Well, this is
they've all got to be really, really old.
This is the guy that I got. Yeah, no, it's totally old. It's got the plastic clip.
Yeah.
It's got this. It's not a steel book, I tell you.
And that's where they actually. Yes, but I like the inside of that one because that's back in the day when they actually used to name each of the chapters in on the DVD, whereas nowadays it's just like a picture and doesn't have that. I have the steelbook and the new one, the 4K, and they have the old school logos on it. Warner International in the corner there, and then what's the one up here? It's horror. Yeah, so it's almost like a sticker you'd see in a video store or something. I like that image on the back.
Oh, that's fucking rad.
And this is just the glowing red.
Fucking the first 10 minutes.
This is one. That's
amazing.
Yeah.
Well, and also we just John from Cinema Gulp. He showed us he got a Blu-ray box set that had everything up until 7, I think.
Yes.
Hey, welcome to the show, friend of the channel, Tom Jr. Jackson Putz.
Moron, how's it going?
I'm doing all right. How are you, buddy?
Not you, Catherine. I'm talking about the one with the glasses who does not know how to rate movies. Anyways, good to see you.
It is good to see you, Tom. Glad you made it. We should say hi to the chat real quick. We have Affinity.
Hey, Affinity.
And here's somebody new I haven't seen before. Slasher Fred says, what makes the movie so classic is that it's a murder mystery movie because you have Nancy basically trying to figure out who this guy that is targeting her and her buddies.
And it ends up being like a ghost demon.
Yeah.
It's amazing. And I'm going to preface this completely because I've watched this 3 times. The reason I was sort of stumbling over my words is I'm in love with Heather Langenkamp.
Okay.
Welcome to another one.
So the entire time we talk about this movie, I'm going to be talking about a strong female protagonist.
Okay, Scotty, really quick.
Yes.
I disappeared because I was looking for this as you guys were showing your DVDs and stuff like that. So we always talk about gas station purchases, and this is literally from a Circle K that I got.
Nice.
I don't know why it's only 1 through 4. But it's pretty rare because it doesn't. This was well after all of them. I mean, I got this a couple years ago. It's only 1 through 4 for some reason, but
is it 1 disc or 2?
It's 2 discs. Yeah. So
okay.
I think they actually did a separate disc that had the rest. Because they did the same thing for Police Academy years ago.
Yeah, I've got the Matrix version of that.
Yeah, and the Matrix. Yeah.
I love those 4-packs, but this is such an interesting movie that it still resonates 40 years later.
Mm-hmm.
And it is incredibly directed, incredibly acted. We do have and introducing Johnny Depp.
I actually think he's not that great in this, even though he went on to become brilliant. He's not that good in this movie, but again, introducing means he was pretty new.
Well, and I would say that this movie is woke because it makes Johnny Depp look like an idiot.
No, but I think it was more the era when they decided to put him in a crop top. Because it's 1984.
Oh my God, that scene's so hilarious. Hey, I'm trying to stay awake, so I'm going to lay on the bed watching TV with the volume very low. That'll keep me awake.
And it's probably a waterbed.
He was actually almost, maybe you have something there, Scott, Ben, because Wes Craven almost cast somebody else in that role, and his daughters changed his mind at the last second, saying, "No, Dad, you got to cast Johnny Depp. He's dreamy.
He's dreamy." Yeah.
Absolutely. And the thing was before that, Johnny Depp was like basically a model.
Yeah.
So.
Mm-hmm. Slash Fred says the dream kill sequences in the movie are so incredible. One of the most famous dream kills is from Dream Warriors, which is Jennifer Caulfield's death, where Fred smashes her through the TV.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Welcome to prime time, bitch.
That's the first moment. That's the first moment in the franchise where you're like, I think he's changing as a character. He's now coming out of televisions instead of just chasing us down an alleyway. Yeah, not that that's a bad thing. Just saying.
No, not at all. Not at all. But like in the
that was in West Craven's backyard too, where they shot the alley too.
How much screen time does Freddy Krueger get in the first one?
That's a good question. He's actually, because I just rewatched it, and he's actually not in the movie very much.
No.
And he doesn't even feel so much like a character. He feels more like you said, like a demon, like a presence, as opposed to a fleshed out character.
Yeah, he's not the main character.
Which isn't a bad thing. It's a good thing in this film's favor.
No, it's less is more. Which is why the first
same thing with. Yeah, it's like with Beetlejuice. You think Michael Keaton's in through the whole movie. He's only in it for a small amount of time.
That's a good comparison. They probably have around the same amount of screen time. Yeah.
Oh, so what you're saying is that I shouldn't lust after either Lydia or Nancy, or I'll turn into a Jeffrey Jones.
Well, I think they were actually both underage minors when they filmed the movie, so maybe you shouldn't. I get it too, Scott. I'm just pretending not to have heard it. Slash Fred
was 16.
You're my lawyer.
Slash Fred, this movie
was 16.
Slash Fred said this movie can be sort of a sequel to Craven's first film, Last House on the Left, because you have retired vigilante parents, and the villain's last name is Krug. Well, yeah, Krug. That's where he got the name. But yeah, it's still continuing that same theme that Wes Craven was going for, about how quote unquote civilized people end up doing barbaric things to the barbarians themselves that they're trying to, as forms of punishment, which he revisited with mixed success in Hills Have Eyes is a good movie, but I didn't feel that was a situation where the civilized people were being sadistic. I mean, they were trying to save the baby. Like, what do you expect them to do? Whereas Nightmare on Elm Street, because they hint early on that you can tell from the reaction of John Saxon and the mom that they clearly are tipped off when Nancy starts describing Freddy, and it's like, oh, that means something. Wonder what that is, And I didn't think it was going to be that dark.
I always thought he got the name Kruger from Kroger, the brand, and he just changed it from Kroger to Kruger. Sorry, that was a crash in the burn.
But it is interesting how he is sort of a boogeyman that shows up. We're introduced to him right off the hop. Like Tina gets clawed at. Like it is like, again, I've seen this movie 3 times this year, and I'm starting to think that Nightmare on Elm Street is a perfect movie.
Well, okay, one of the things that I didn't get to, I don't think I got to mention because I forgot about it when we did our show, Scotty. But the one thing that differentiates,
don't forget to subscribe to Cinema Gold.
The thing that differentiates the first one from the rest is that he's toying with them. You don't really know what's going on in the first one because you're first introduced to this character. You're following the people going through the dreams. But so many times, even Tina like goes through 2 or 3 dreams before he finally gets her. You know, she wakes up from the dream. Like once you get to like 3, 4, 5, all that stuff, as soon as a character has a dream, they die in that dream. I like the first one because they're learning things as they go. Like Nancy's like having 3, 4, 5, 6 different dreams and still surviving the dream because she's waking up just in time, or he's letting her wake up. That's why the first one's so eerie and creepy in the best possible sense, where the other ones there's a lot to be loved in this franchise, but the first one, I love the eeriness of things. And if that was like Craven's alley that he lived in, that's a fucking scary alley. Especially how it's lit.
Yeah, I think that whole first movie is very atmospheric and just how dreamy the whole thing feels, especially the soundtrack. It's like just such a eerie kind of mood that it puts you in that you're not even sure in the waking scenes whether like are they awake or are they dreaming until something weird's going to happen. It has that effect.
That's the only one that's like that. It all becomes so fantasy and surreal after that, where you know that there's some wild, I woke up, I'm on a beach, and here comes Freddy's claw coming down the sand. It's like the first one is so like, is this person dreaming? Are they not? Like that moment where Tina's laying in bed with Rod and someone's throwing rocks at the window and then she just tries to go back to sleep. You're like, what would have happened if she just stayed in that room and tried to go back? You know, would Freddy just eventually go up there? Or does he need her to come down for him to like haunt her in her dreams? The first one anyway, I love thinking about all that stuff. The movie
is called Nightmare on Elm Street. And so the thing that is the impetus to them wandering around in scary environments is that they are tortured by nightmares.
But that's the thing. The first one, they're not doing that as much. Like I said, like Tina's awakened by rocks hitting the window. So is it Freddy outside doing that? Is he manifesting that? Like, yes, she's dreaming because we've all had dreams like that where we're in bed and then we get up, you know, but
right. Well, and
sleep
also
paralysis, that's fucked up.
It's not apparent in the actual image, but the thing that she pulls out of the window, that it's not a rock, it's a tooth.
What were you gonna say, Tom?
To answer the question, it's 7 minutes. That's all Freddy is in the movie for. 7 minutes.
Wow.
That's the same amount of time. That's the same amount of time that Beetlejuice is in the original Beetlejuice. 7 minutes.
No, it's absolutely fantastic that's it, because that's all you need, and that's what you remember, you know.
And that's how it should be when you do a film like that. For very little, but you expand it through in the film and put it in different parts, it'll seem like it's the whole film, and I think that's a great way to do it.
Slasher Fred says totally agree, and Tina Gray is basically a psycho vibe, and Craven did it again in Scream with Drew Barrymore's character.
Yeah,
Tina's
they definitely treat Tina like the main character. I mean, Nancy's even sort of different at the beginning, where she is just the sidekick. She even acts different. And then she changes, obviously, when she becomes the main character. But yeah, they definitely were setting it up that way.
Is there, Tom, you would probably know better than I, is there a Nancy doll, like action figure that I can get?
I thought you were going somewhere else with that, dude.
You say that as if like
is
I got
there like
one
a
in the
Nancy
closet.
Funko Pop that I can get? Because this entire movie has just made me fall in love with Nancy.
I'm sure you can find a certain type of doll, Scotty.
Oh, that'll cost thousands. I'll need a Patreon.
Slasher Fred says, if you guys ever see Shocker, Heather Langenkamp has a small appearance in the opening news report as a victim of Horace Pinker.
I will buy that movie just for Heather Langenkamp.
I love Shocker. I love Peter Berg in that movie. I love FBI Director Skinner as Pinker. It's the movie's just bonkers and ridiculous, and I love it.
Slasher Fred says that this movie is basically the only one where Krueger is basically a serial killer, because at the end, when Nancy goes into the boiler room, she finds all of her friend's personal effects. Well, he does kill a lot of other people in the franchise.
I think maybe they mean like the one where you actually see, or you hear about him being a serial. Well, I don't know. I guess, was he a serial killer?
Drunk Mom tells us the whole story.
Who has a bottle of vodka in every single place you can possibly put one in a house?
I know.
Like inside the laundry, in the closet, a huge bottle of vodka.
She puts it in with the towels. Yeah.
Slasher Fred, the third movie.
She's got that drunk look. That drunk look, and also like the smoky eyes, like as if like she doesn't really care. She's drunk and she wants to look like a whore, basically.
But we find out also that some of that might be emanating from guilt, or because she's so traumatized herself from everything that happened.
Oh, they both are. Both the parents display that perfectly without saying it. You know, they both are dealing with that whole thing in their own way. Yeah.
What's the name of the actress who plays the mom?
Oh, I have no idea.
I gotta double check that.
Anyway, I was listening to the audio commentary.
Don't you think it would have been interesting though? Like you take Glenn, for instance, and Glenn's parents are just oblivious to
Ronnie
everything.
Blakely.
Oh, okay.
Thank you, Slasher Fred. So Ronnie Blakely, they talk about Ronnie in the audio commentary, and they're like, Ronnie didn't know what movie she was in. Like, they talk about her performance as being amazing, but it's like, we don't know if she knew where she was.
You mean so they
and
were
so
actually
I
giving
don't
her
know
booze?
anything about this actress.
Well,
like,
she was an
what
actress.
else was she in?
She's an actress. She's a singer-songwriter. She's a composer, a producer, and a director.
Wow.
She's most well known for her role in the movie Nashville. And she's also released several albums and collaborated with Bob Dylan.
Well, why don't you marry her, Tom? Jesus.
No, I want to.
Slasher Fred says the third movie repeats the whole plot of Freddy stalking the children of those who were part of the lynch mob who executed him, and in the fourth movie they changed it to Freddy killing randomly.
Well, yeah, I said, Scotty, if you remember when we were talking about where we thought the downfall of the franchise went on our show, I said 4 because now they're just making excuses. Oh, there's no Elm Street kids left. I'm going to inject my power into another person. And then Freddy's going to go after her friends who somehow he knows who her friends are. But
also,
not that 4 is bad. 4 is entertaining, but you know.
Everyone should go check out A Mighty Good Year. Is it A Mighty Good Year?
A Bloody Good Year.
A Bloody Good Year. My mistake. Over at Cinemago. If you enjoy this conversation about Nightmare on Elm Street, you can go check out something like that. But we're doing it now. And also,
watch the show. Watch the show now.
Have you ever seen Heather Langenkamp like recently?
Yeah, I saw her on a Mike Flanagan show. Kat, did you watch that? I think it was called The Midnight Club on Netflix.
I don't have Netflix anymore.
Oh, okay. It was a couple years old.
She really loved working with him. I know that, and I know she hadn't acted for a few years because she lost her son, I believe.
Oh, I didn't know that. She's married to the special effects artist, right? From
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
Unless we're just getting New Nightmare across.
No. It's real. Like, it's real.
If you do get the opportunity to hear the audio commentary from this particular cardboarded DVD, she says that one of her favorite pickup lines is, "I'm your boyfriend now." So.
Affinity says it's called suspension of disbelief. I can enjoy scary dreams just as much as explosions in space or flying unicorns.
Agreed. I'm with you there.
I have bad dreams quite often still as a aging man. I still have bad dreams that are fucked up and I remember them. So yeah.
Affinity, you are one of my worst dreams.
Although R&B has posited the theory that the whole movie is a dream or something. I've heard that because of the way the movie ends.
Yeah.
Have you guys seen the 4 endings? My favorite one is where it ends the way you see it, but Freddy's driving the car at the end.
I heard about that.
And then there's 2 of them where there's 2 of the alternate endings are just they drive away in the car and everybody's alive because it was a dream. But then the mom sees the girls on the jump rope singing the song. Mm-hmm. So there's 2 endings where the hood comes or the thing of the car comes up and it's Freddy's colors. And then there's 2 endings where they just drive off. I've never really particularly liked any of those endings.
Wasn't there an ending that involved a school bus? Or was that the original ending?
Part 2.
No, that's the beginning of 2.
Yeah.
Which, you know what? And I've always said that 2 is like the scariest, my favorite.
It's fucking
like
great.
That.
It's a great.
It's a great movie. But the whole second movie is
but after watching the original Nightmare on Elm Street 3 times this year, I've just fallen in love with Heather Langenkamp, and that's it.
We're going to be getting so many pings because of that.
Scott, can we ping?
We're gonna get so many strikes on this. You sounding like a stalker.
Why? Because I'm not stalking her. I just want like an action figure.
Hey, Cinema Universe, what's up? Or Cinematic Universe, sorry.
Hey, Cinematic Universe.
Affinity says deleted scenes are not canon, apparently. Although I personally think they are. He says the only thing he despises is it's up to the viewer. So just clarify whether it is or it isn't someone.
I think you should take deleted alternate endings and do it like a Hardy Boys book, where if you're watching a Blu-ray, you can choose which ending you want to be attached to the end of your version of the movie.
Or choose that's how it is.
And choose don't forget, and at the end of Clerks, there's a deleted scene where
that scene is terrible. It's terrible. It's so boring.
Well, it would completely destroy the ending of 3. But I'm just saying, like, deleted scenes, it depends. Mix and match. Choose your own adventure. It's art. It's not math.
Does anyone know where the opening credit scene, which I just think is shot so great, where he's building his claw, it's so detailed, so interesting, and the way the camera's moving past it, it's never really just staying on it as it happens. Like it's it doesn't give you Freddy Krueger, it gives you the iconic idea.
Wasn't it in the library in Lincoln Heights in the basement? I think it was the library.
I think Scott, you would remember because you've seen the commentary. Didn't they say it was someplace where it had asbestos in it?
Well, no. Well, that was basically all of the boiler rooms. But in terms of the creation of the glove, that was sort of third party. It wasn't made in the basement with the asbestos. But yeah, Tom, you're absolutely correct. There was a lot of asbestos in one of those sets, and it was condemned because of the level of asbestos.
I didn't know that.
Yeah,
I wonder if that was Robert Englund. Was that Robert Englund actually doing the work?
No, it wasn't.
I didn't think so. Yeah.
Slasher Fred says he always thought the opening prologue takes place before Freddy's original death.
That makes sense. I'm okay with
it does. It does. Yeah, he's making the claw. He had the claw when he was alive. And he used that. Yeah.
Slasher Fred.
Slasher Fred, what an awesome name. Perfectly suited for this show.
I love how Robert Englund plays this character too. It's not just all about the makeup and letting that decide for it. And again, in the first movie, he's not being goofy or weird. It's like dark. Like my introduction to Freddy Krueger is like I was always familiar with him, seeing the costumes and stuff at stores and seeing clips and stuff. But it was mostly the later Freddy Krueger. Like I think I saw Dream Warriors before the original, but I have barely any memory of it. But so when I saw the first movie and first time around 2004, it was like, wow, that's a really dark. Like Freddy's not the goofy, cool jokester guy. He's like just a dark, malevolent presence.
He's a golem. He's like he hides in the shadows, and he doesn't have quibs. He has one-liners, but they're more like frightening than anything else. You know?
Yeah, they're threats.
Yeah, they're threats. Yeah, and he cuts his fingers off, and you know he giggles a little bit, but it's scary. It's not like when you get to 1988 and he has a rap album with the Fat Boys.
Exactly.
That's right.
He's not putting on
Fat Boys. And don't forget Will Smith and DJ Jazzy Jeff, Nightmare on My Street.
Nightmare on My Street. Yeah, I think we played a clip of that. Scotty brought that up on the other thing. So yeah.
And he cuts his chest open, and you have all the green worms and slime.
It was like a tauntaun.
Stomach acid.
It was like a tauntaun.
The way also
who drank too much Monster. You know?
and the way the first film is made, it is made so low budget, but it looks so great because you know that they put the effort into that movie, and then you see the rest of the movies and how the budgets got bigger and bigger and bigger, and how crappier. And
they
crappier
still
and
stayed
crappier.
really, really low though. All 6 of those original were really low budgets. But yeah, you're right. The first one was a nickel and dime budget, and that's why it's so great. You know.
Well, I do love this. Oh, you go.
Well, no, please. What do you love? Jesus, I don't want to cut
you
off
on
what you love.
That you mentioned that like the first 6 movies just kept getting goofier, more ridiculous, and finally Bob Shea actually invited Craven to his office and said, "What'll it take to get you to make another Nightmare movie? Air your grievances." And he just laid into him about everything that he hated that the series had become. Yeah. And to his credit, Bob Shea took it. And he's like, "Okay, here you go. You can do another one." And then they went off and made New Nightmare.
Yeah,
and
but
Wes Craven says all his years in Hollywood, he's never had an executive invite him in to like just just lay it bare like that.
Do you know? Does anyone know if, because it was Rennie Harlan, right, who did part 4, and part 4 is where you can find like 3. There was hints of it, but 4 is when they just become comedies, and Freddy Krueger is basically the main character. There's nothing scary left. There's grotesque stuff and disturbing stuff, but there's no scares.
But was that very attractive people?
Well, no, but do you think that was the director? Do you think that was the writing? Do you think that was Robert Englund who wanted? Because I never heard if Robert Englund cared or not if they went goofy. I can't remember. I'm sure he's talked about it.
Oh yeah, there's like Michael Rosenbaum's podcast. He was on. I think he was on the 2 little Hobbit guys. The guys who were in the Hobbit. 2 little Hobbit guys. Billy Boyd, Dominic Monaghan, Billy Boyd. Yeah, and I think they had him on their podcast at one point. I'll have to find those, but I think maybe it may have been the writing, because it got to a point where
maybe
people like, oh, look how popular this character now is, because at some point it became, let's make Halloween costumes, let's make toys, let's make costumes, toys, and all this stuff. Kids got into it, so the more and more it went, I mean, I'm sure
I was one of them. I was one of them.
Me too.
Oh yeah.
They continued on. I guarantee you that movie would have ended up becoming PG-13 at one point if they would have kept
my parents allowed me to make my own Freddy glove. They made it so that I had one glove, and then I duct taped, snipped coat hangers, like very, very pointy. I could have totally poked my eye out.
Do you remember the makeup?
And I made that, and they let me do it, and then I like did squiggly lines all over my face. They gave me
I didn't
a
do the
hat
face thing
and a sweater.
I took a weightlifting glove and then took like plastic knives, like plastic cutware, gray knives, and then put them on there so they they're plastic.
Slasher Fred says one of the most known facts about Freddy is that according to Wes Craven, it was the name of a bully who terrorized him in his paper route.
Well, and that's the thing. Like, we were having a conversation last night about the nature of PG-13 and the things that were like, and I was veering more towards rated R things. And I think that Freddy is something that has been rated R, even in the remakes, has been pushed maybe a little too far R, or maybe he should be that terrible, terrorizing demon.
Well,
you
Freddy
could never make a PG-13 Nightmare on Elm Street.
Well, Freddy went from being a child killer to all of a sudden becoming a pedophile.
Well, in the remake, yeah.
Which Robert Englund also
I can't say what I want to say.
Robert Englund also told a story that when kids would come up trick or treating on Halloween, and he thought it was weird that the kids were just so young, dressed as Freddy Krueger. He's like, do they know who this guy actually originally was? Because that's how far away the sequels had gotten. And of course, he figures it's not an issue when kids watch it because it's like, yeah, it's edited for TV. But he's like, yeah, the sequels got so far away from who Freddy was, and New Nightmare tried to harken back to that a bit, but it wasn't as dark as I was led to believe. But it was still better, darker, or less goofy than the previous 5 films.
Well, I do have a question for you, Kat. Do you think that the demon of Freddy Krueger is expressed explicitly in the original? Do you think that it's like, this is who this guy is?
Like, do I think that's as in that he's a killer or child killer? Yeah. Well, yeah.
So how did he become a ghost demon?
I don't know, because the only thing that really clarifies that he was like a real person at one point is the parents saying that, yeah, we killed him and everything. And odd that the mom still has the glove in the basement furnace. It's like, okay.
It's a trophy.
Yeah, a trophy. But yeah, I would just expect, because it's not only her, it's not only the drunk mom, but even the dad, John Saxon, he even gives like this, he's worried when they're at the cemetery and Nancy starts rattling off she's describing Freddy, and he clearly recognizes what she's talking about and then pushes her into the car because he doesn't want to hear her say anymore. So yeah, I'd say he was a real person at one point who was killing the kids. Whether he killed 20, like her mom said, 20 in the neighborhood, and people got antsy and they misdated the warrant, so they let him go. And it's like, okay, but I think he probably was who she claimed him to be.
Do you remember the makeup that they used to have for Freddy Krueger for people to buy? There was this makeup and it looked like oatmeal, and I remember it.
Oh yeah,
because we bought it one year, and I think my brother wanted to be Freddy, and that shit looked like oatmeal. Putting oatmeal on your face. I mean, you probably would have saved more money than just going out to the store and buying a box of oatmeal and then just making it and just putting it on your face.
Speaking of where he Slasher Fred says in the 6th film, Freddy's Dead, it's revealed that during his death, he was given his powers by some dream demons. That's usually what happens in sequels. They're running out of ideas, and so they just start expanding on the origin.
Well, yeah, the final one, they show you that he made a deal with like these dream demons, and then they show them in 3D, and they look like little sperm with teeth.
Somehow Freddy has returned.
If you think about it, the Nightmare on Elm Street movies have had directors that have all become big. Wes Craven, Chuck Russell,
Rennie
Harlan, and then you look at the guest stars that have been the cameos in the films. We got goofier and goofier, but you'd be like, well, she really wasn't a cameo.
Chuck Russell had already done 48 Hours, so he was kind of
John Saxon.
But then you have at one point Tom and Roseanne, and then Zsa Zsa Gabor shows up in one of them, and then
Johnny Depp shows up.
Johnny Depp. Yeah, and it's
Johnny
like
Depp shows up with the
Alice
your brain
Cooper.
and drugs commercial. Yeah, Alice Cooper. Well, Alice Cooper plays Freddy's dad.
His father. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Slasher Fred says this movie has many teen drama moments, like when Nancy, Glenn, and Tina are at his house and plays a tape of sound effects to make his mom think he's at his cousin's place who lives near the airport. Yeah, because it starts out making you think almost like it's going to be some teen comedy, and it's like, no. At least not with those characters.
I do love that scene though, where it's like it sounds like they're at the airport, and then there's like car crashes and ladies screaming and things exploding. It's pretty funny.
And why that's all on the tape
is, I think Tina's being killed, and she's in the room, and you hear her boyfriend yelling for her, and Nancy's like, "Oh my god!" It's like she thinks that they're going at it or something like that. And
well, Glenn does too. He's like, "Oh, geez, I wish I had."
It's like one of the greatest misdirects for those two. But you really
it's great how they filmed that scene too. Yeah.
Yeah, that whole room just.
Oh well, that was on a gimbal. It was on a different set. It spun.
Yeah, it's amazing.
You know, they got that
was incredible special effect.
It was so good. That's my favorite Nightmare on Elm Street killing of all time. I know a lot of people love the Johnny Depp one. I love it's so
I love it when Tina dies.
It's so terrifying, like, and the way her stomach splits open, perfect edit where he lifts up the sheets, and the way the actress just sells it. That scene is fucking scary, dude. Like, I love it.
It is scary. You're right.
When that scene, when you see the room spinning, how they did that. Do you know where they got that from? They got that idea from an old Fred Astaire movie, the one where he goes dancing up the walls and on the ceiling.
Oh, are you sure?
Exact same. Yeah,
you're talking about Breaking 2 Electric Boogaloo? Where
no, I was thinking. Are you thinking of Make 'Em Laugh?
Yeah,
that's not Fred Astaire.
No, not Make 'Em Laugh. But there's a movie where
there is one where he like walks in,
goes up the wall, up on the ceiling, and that whole room just it was on a gimbal.
Yes.
And that's the first, that's where that whole thing came from, knowing that they could do it that way.
Slasher Fred says, have you guys ever seen the TV show, the spinoff Freddy's Nightmares, which is basically a Twilight Zone-like series? And the pilot, which was directed by Toby Hooper, it's a prequel.
This is like the second time this week I've heard
there's some pretty lousy special effects in it, but it's entertaining, and Robert Englund's there as Freddy. As kind of the crypt keeper, like the host.
Well, and it's interesting that you say it that way, is because I didn't watch that because I was busy with Tales from the Crypt. I liked it, but I watched it for a little. There was a Friday the 13th television show.
Yep, it's Friday the 13th. Yeah,
I don't think Jason was a part of that, though. Right?
No, and it had nothing to do with Jason. That's the thing.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of
Swift -1. It is a pleasure to see you.
Hey,
apparently you are changing your name in a new America, but it's good to see you, Matt G.
Oh, that's Matt G.
Yeah.
Oh, I had no idea. Hey, Matt.
Slasher Fred says, speaking of PG-13, this movie came out the same year as Temple of Doom and Gremlins, which is also said to have inspired it. Yes, that's true.
Yes, it did. Yes, it did. 84 was a more important year in film than people think it is.
There's a lot of good
films for Heather Langenkamp.
That too, yeah.
I've always thought the casting of her was interesting. Like some of the interactions with the parents she has are a little odd. But that's like, okay, I get what Craven was going for. But I wasn't.
I think her relationship with her dad is good, but her relationship with her mom is strange. And
but also that's apparently the actress was strange. And also it was intended to be off-putting. And I do believe sort of I don't know, it's that time of pubescence, that mid-teenage era where you're that distant from your parents.
Well, I like that she's sort of ditzy in the way that, you could buy that everybody else would kind of think she's crazy. Like, a lot of movies where you can't fathom why other people aren't listening to the hero. It's like, how can you not listen? It makes sense. Well, this movie, I could see why they're thinking she's kind of nutty and not wanting to listen.
I have a dream demon.
I felt the same way watching Terminator 2. It's like, no wonder they think these people, they're all coming off like tinfoil hat nutcases.
Well, and it's funny too, because all of them at one point, the 4 main teenagers, they do realize at one point that they all had a similar dream with a similar person in it. But none of them, they don't really have a conversation about it. Like even Rob is like, yeah, you know, I did this thing because of this thing in the dream. And they all kind of look at each other. And obviously, you know, you see there's that conversation with Tina and Nancy. Oh, I had a dirty green and red sweater guy with a dirty old hat. And you even see the one guy who doesn't say anything is Glenn, but you see his face. You see Glenn's face where you know that he had that dream too. But they all start getting picked off, so they can't really go to the authorities or to the parents and say, hey, we all had the same dream. You know, it's all up to Nancy at that point, you know?
Well, that's why I'm kind of surprised that since Glenn, to your point, kind of had that look of recognition, it's almost like he's ignoring it or playing dumb through the whole movie. Like he doesn't know what she's talking about. He thinks she's crazy, but it's like, but he, like you said, he recognized that when she said it, but then he doesn't. But then he doesn't.
Ladies and gentlemen, I would just like to point out that this is the kind of channel we have where you can't even show up on the panel and be introduced while we are expounding on our exposition.
Hey, you know Ernesto, what, Scott? I've been on someone's channel that you know.
See, this is
there for 20 minutes before someone even said my name.
Ernesto,
oh my God,
it's Have you met Ben? Have you met Tom? Have you met Kat?
Of course I know Ernesto. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And that's the enthusiasm that will continue throughout the evening. If you don't mind me, I'm going to go get an ice cream cone and take a peek.
Yes, you can do that, Scott. We can hold the fort.
Have fun eating your ice cream cone in the bathroom, Scott.
How's it going, Ernesto?
Heading back to where the AMC is to go watch Gladiator. Might hear some noise in the background. I apologize.
No, it's all right. So, what are your thoughts on the original Nightmare on Elm Street?
You know what? I'll admit it. It's on the pile. Haven't really seen it. I've only seen snippets.
What?
How do I zoom in and out?
You're kidding.
Well, let me put it this way. The first time I saw anything Nightmare on Elm Street all the way and anything Friday the 13th was when Freddy vs. Jason came out.
That's like 13 years after the franchise ended. But hey, Freddy vs. Jason's pretty badass though.
I had fun with it because I was aware of the characters before the movie came out. I just never really sat down to watch them because I couldn't get away with watching an R-rated movie if my life depended on it at the time.
I had no idea that you'd never seen this. My gosh.
No, I mean, there comes a time where you just get exposed to so many of what happens that you just like give up. I'm like, I'll watch it eventually, but I'm not going to rush at this point. It's mostly just been ruined.
This is a family show. No exposing yourself, Ernesto.
Hey, I'm not the one with the potato camera, okay?
The potato camera.
Hey, Tom, I like your mic, by the way. That's pretty sweet.
Thank you.
That's what she said.
Slasher Fred says, did you know that Nancy's teacher is played by Robert Shea's sister Lynn, and she was also in another classic New Line movie, Critters, where she played the nurse in New Nightmare. Yeah, yes, that's true.
And she was also the neighbor in Something About Mary, the one that was all tanned and looking like.
And well, she's also in the Insidious movies. Yeah, yeah. She's one of the main characters in the Insidious movie. She's in a lot of Farrelly Brothers movies.
Yes, anyways.
No.
Fred follows up by saying this movie has some comedic moments, like during the aftermath of Glenn's death, and the cop tells Donald that the coroner is still in the bathroom throwing up. The whole, I thought Glenn's parents took it rather well. Like his dad was like kind of talking to the cops. Okay, and it's only when he sees the blood dripping down into the living room that he.
Well, Kat, do you ever wonder, like, don't these other parents know? Okay, so they were probably in on the original, like, we have to burn Freddy, right? Because it's all on the street. So when Tina's parents finally see these 4 razor slashes all over her body, it's interesting that you never see Tina's parents, so you don't know what they're thinking. But like, it's weird that like these kids are going through all this stuff, and there's these 4 razors that keep happening. Obviously, with Rod, and one of the, I just don't really get the whole hanging thing. That was kind of lame. It's kind of
because they thought he killed Tina.
No, I know that, but it's just,
I think that's kind of Freddy staging it to look like a suicide.
No, I get it, but it's like once Nancy's parents know that she's been saying Fred Krueger, and they start hearing that name, wouldn't they go to Tina's parents and be like, "Hey, she did have 4 razors down her belly"? It just, I know, well, I'm digging, I know, but
I think it's because they probably thought, because they never say what actually happened to his body, like he disintegrated and there's just ashes. Like, I think it's because they're not prepared to accept any type of supernatural stuff, that they think, this is crazy. Somebody, but you're right. The parents should have gotten together and said, okay, somebody talked or said something, and these kids started gossiping with each other, and that's why they're having nightmares about it. Like, but they don't. They're like, the parents feel so distant in this movie. It's kind of weird.
And Nancy's mom has the fucking glove down in the basement.
Yeah, in the furnace.
The glove is, if anything, they would have thought maybe someone stole the glove and like killed somebody with it. I don't know. I'm being too hard on a brilliant movie.
Have you ever?
It's a good point.
Have any of you ever read the many drafts of the Freddy versus Jason film that was going to be?
I've heard about
to your point of saying that, Tom, it's Slasher Fred says that movie was basically going to be what the 7th Friday the 13th was originally going to be, which was Jason going up against Freddy. Because that's right. They were talking about doing that years earlier, and then it fell through, and they finally got to do it in 2003.
Well,
they were also thinking about having Ash in there from Evil Dead.
As a matter of fact, I just saw a clip of Bruce Campbell talking about that, and someone asked him why it hadn't happened. He goes, well, they called up New Line. They said, let's do this. And then they shut it down because it was like, well, we really like our characters to stay alive so they can keep doing movies. And he's like, but no one ever dies in those movies.
Well, at least not the bad guys.
It came about that close to being made. But if you read, it's online. There's like a bunch of different drafts of the Freddy versus Jason films.
Yeah, there are. Yeah, but I'm glad
there's one that takes place in a mall. I believe one takes place in a mall.
I didn't know about that one. I didn't know about that one. I think the movie turned out exactly the best it could possibly have been. For me, when I saw that in the
one
theater,
was with a cult, I believe.
I fucking loved it. I was like, this is the best Freddy Krueger versus Jason Voorhees movie that you're ever gonna get. And
I thought it was a fun movie when I saw it, but now I probably gave it, when I rewatched it like a year ago or so, I gave it like 1 star. But
one was going to be. One was going to be in a mall. Another one was going to be involved with a cult called the Fred Heads, and they were going to summon up Freddy.
I do know that one. Yeah,
and then somewhere I know there's a script where it was going to be Freddy, Jason, and Pinhead.
I heard that too.
Freddy, Jason, and Michael Myers. Like they wanted to do it all, basically.
I remember still do it. I remember seeing Freddy versus Jason in a theater, in like a dollar theater, and that's in Canada. So that means they would have actually, it would pay you $1 if you lived in the United States.
Yeah,
but would you buy it for $1?
See this movie, and so there were like, with my friends, which were 5 of us, there were probably 3 other people in the theater. And we were rioting in terms of just laughing at the ridiculousness of Freddy versus Jason. We had the best time. And then someone from behind us, an elderly man, he was like, shh. And we laughed at him. And we were like, what movie did you think you were coming to, sir?
Yeah. I'm so glad.
An incredible, joyous occasion.
I'm so glad you said 5 friends because when you started saying, I went with my 5 friends or something. I thought, oh my God, I hope he keeps saying more than 5 because I'm like, what, 5 years old? What the fuck, Scott?
I had a 5-year-old friend, and I took her to go see Freddy.
Okay, stop.
No,
you don't have to take it all the way.
Slasher Fred says, speaking of Ash, this movie also had The Evil Dead playing on the TV, and in the second Evil Dead movie during in the woodshed, if you look closely, you can spot Freddy's glove.
Yep, it's there.
Well,
Freddy's glove is the
forget,
Michael Jackson glove of horror movies, no?
Don't forget Freddy's dead. Jason Goes to Hell. Isn't at the end of that one?
Yeah, there's how the glove comes up from the sand. But what it is that I believe it was in the original Evil Dead. There was a Nightmare on Elm Street poster. One of them had the Nightmare on Elm Street, either a Nightmare on Elm Street poster or the Evil Dead poster.
Well, the original Evil Dead was 2 years before Nightmare on Elm Street, so I think you have it reversed. So,
yeah. So they put one thing in one movie, and then the other one did a tribute. That's right. It was Nightmare on Evil Dead 2 that had the Nightmare on Elm Street poster, and then no.
All right,
no, because where would it have been in the old people's cabin? The old people's cabin would have a Nightmare on Elm Street poster in it.
Slasher Fred says one of the best lines of the movie is when during Nancy's first dream sequence, she sees Tina in the hallway and runs into the hall guard. She says, "Oh, screw your pass."
Screw your pass. Yeah,
but it's like when the teacher recognizes that, like when the teacher recognizes that Nancy's had a breakdown in class, she's like, "Oh, you should go home. You'll feel better." But you need your hall pass. It's like, what?
Yeah.
Well, and the teacher is also that's the woman who wants to have Woody Harrelson mount her box.
We were talking about that. Yeah. All right. Yeah. Scotty. That's the girl, the woman.
That was Lynn Shay.
Yeah, she's also in the Insidious movies.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna have to.
I've never seen.
I'm gonna have to sign off. My movie's gonna start soon.
Okay, what are you seeing?
Gladiator 2.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Before I go, I wanted to mention that one of the more creative, fun experiences in the horror genre was watching Jason X. And that's that one movie where they got really creative with some of the deaths, but at the same time, they really had to stretch the fact that literally anything can kill Jason here, and they're trying to find every reason for him to survive. Because even in the opening act, they're like, why is he still alive? Well, we tried everything. I'm like, clearly not. You could have just chopped him off into pieces and put him in the fridge, but apparently that's too difficult for you.
Slasher Fred says a new Nightmare, they do a repeat of the original, which is the 1428 Elm Street house having the blue door and barred windows.
All right. Well y'all have a good night. I'll see you later. Take care.
Oh, and also, Ernesto, before you go, looking forward to hearing you on the new or continuing Batman show.
Oh, yeah. I will be reading up on all the books.
Well, it's still Capes, Cows, and Crusaders. So just we're going to be covering Batman comics and graphic novels instead of movies.
And you're going to be a co-host. That's awesome.
Of course.
Yeah. What are you starting with, Kat?
We haven't fully decided yet. Ernesto's got to dig out his comics, and we'll figure something out. Man, you guys can jump on anytime if you guys have read the comics and stuff.
I've read several Batmans, but not a lot. So if I do know one you guys will do, I'll pop on and be annoying.
Well, you let me know when you guys get up to the Batman '89 comic.
Has Batman ever? Ernesto, you can go now if you wish.
Have a good night, guys. Take care.
Bye.
Later, dude.
If Ernesto takes on Batman, if Batman takes on Freddy Krueger, who do you think would win?
Freddy Krueger.
Krueger.
Well, Batman has to be asleep.
Yeah.
In the spirit,
sleep?
I was going to say, in the spirit of this stream being about dreams and irreverent things happening, I'm just going to highlight this comment from Finity saying Kat has destroyed the Indiana Jones saga completely. If you don't monetize Catherine's awesome revelation, I will. Temple of Doom retcons Raiders, so it ain't canon. Catherine spotted that. Marcus, I don't believe in a bunch of mumbo jumbo.
Yeah, that's true.
But
that's
the Sankara stones, what are they? Paperweights?
Yeah, I don't believe in the Ark of the Covenant, but I've pretty much seen a lot of supernatural shit 2 years before that. Yeah.
I thought that was funny, but yes.
Yeah, I know, but he misspelled your name.
Yeah, it's with a C instead of a K, but yeah.
I know.
Maybe he can't pronounce the C's, and it's easier with a K.
That sounds like him. Guy who can't pronounce C's. But okay, so 40 years after, the zeitgeist, the absolute inclusion into him being one of the most terrifying boogeymen, one of the most charismatic boogeymen.
Yeah.
Where's the question?
Yeah, that wasn't a question. That was
Here's a question. To Tom's point about how Bruce Campbell said the reason they didn't want to put them together is because they don't want to kill any of their characters, then why is it that New Line suddenly had such an obsession with killing Freddy for good in the 6th film, Freddy's Dead?
I
bet you Robert Englund didn't want to play him anymore.
No, Tom, no. I remember I watched
before our documentary about Never Sleep Again.
Yeah, well but there's a lot of YouTube videos, but Never Sleep Again. So what is it? What was it? Like, why did they end it? I know there was diminishing returns on 5, but 5 was a big drop off from 4.
I mean, maybe they thought they were out of ideas, but it seems like at that time, that's when you call up Bruce Campbell and say, hey, we're kind of done with this franchise, so let's just do the crossover instead of, but instead they didn't, and they went all weird and stuff with the 6th movie. But
what year did Nightmare on Elm Street 5 come out?
89.
1989?
Yeah.
Same year as like Batman.
Because I don't know. Well, Dream Child is the most boring of all of them. It's so boring.
What are you talking about? It's got Tom Arnold.
Yeah, so the first one was 84, the second was 85, the third was 87, the fourth was 88, the fifth was 89, and then the 6th was 91, and the 7th was 94.
Well, I don't really consider New Nightmare a 7th, but yeah.
Well, New Nightmare came out like when they were making it. That was that big earthquake that hit in California.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I know what you're talking about. Yeah,
I
got thrown out of my bed during that earthquake.
And they decided, hey, let's use some of this.
You were on a boat.
I was in my crib watching.
I was on a break.
It's great. Catherine's on the show with the 4 old men.
Fred says in the opening and closing credits, Freddy is credited as Fred Krueger, whereas in the sequels, he is credited as Freddy Krueger.
He's only called Fred in the first one, I think, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, Fred says, speaking of Batman in the movie Shocker, the skeptical police father was played by Michael Murphy, who played the mayor in Batman Returns. Yes, that's true.
Well, if we want to talk about cross-pollination of movie universes,
yes,
because of Provasic in Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back, that means that it is in the same universe as
The Fugitive.
Thank you.
He switched the samples. He switched the samples.
Apparently, there's an unrated.
I'm a junkie with a monkey.
Slasher Fred says there's an unrated cut of The Dream Child, which has the extended deaths of Dan and Greta.
Can't wait to see it.
I don't know who either of those. Oh, the Dan death scene was pretty cool, right? That's where he's like getting like fused with a motorcycle. It's pretty dark and crazy. Like, it's probably the only memorable thing about the 5th one is when her boyfriend from the previous movie falls asleep driving, and then he's on a motorcycle, and like all the motorcycle tubes start going into his veins, and his whole head turns into like an engine. It's pretty disturbing, but I don't know if I need an extended one of that. It's already pretty fucked up.
It has been such a long time since I've seen the rest. I know I've been advocating for Nightmare on Elm Street 2 as being the scariest one. I'm still there. But if anybody just wants to send me a box set of all the Nightmare on Elm Street movies, I'll review them.
I'll send you the first 4.
You have to send them. No, I haven't. I've got the first one. I also
find it odd.
The second Nightmare on Elm Street is a great. It's really an allegory for coming out in a way.
Yes,
trying to.
It is a gay allegory. Yes.
Yeah.
The thing I found odd also about the Rod character is he's trying to when Nancy goes to see him, he's like, I couldn't see the guy. It's like he was there, but I couldn't see him. You think he would mention the crazy, insane part of her getting thrown around onto the ceiling and stuff, but nah, he's just telling himself that there was somebody else in the room, but never mind mentioning the.
He's a lug. He's a total lughead in that movie. Like, I mean, there's even that point where he's trying to get Nancy to believe him, and then he goes, "I'm warning you," and that's right when her dad moves in and goes, "Hey, fuck you, you're arrested," or whatever. It's like, you know. He's being honest, but he's so dumb. He doesn't know how to express what he's trying to say. There was somebody else there. That was the best thing he said. There was somebody else there, but he didn't, you know.
And you notice how specific. You never have, like, other than the cemetery when they're getting back in the car, you never have the husband and wife, the parents in the same scene. Like, she's just totally alcoholic and out of it at home all the time. It's like, what's their home life like when he actually comes home off a shift?
Well, that's the thing. Are they together?
I think
I thought that they were divorced.
Yeah, I thought
they might be. He tells the cop to watch my daughter's house instead of watch my house. But it's like,
he's not. No, they don't live together. He's never in that house. Like, they're
and
divorced.
I think she has a boyfriend too. The mother does, I think.
Ooh.
Well, that I didn't know, but
she's single.
The movie
she's
clearly tells you that they don't
I
live
could get in there.
Because when she sees her dad at the station, she's like, "Daddy!" It's like she hasn't seen him in a day or two or something. You know, like, I definitely don't think John Saxon lives in that house. Like, no way. Because he didn't even know there was bars.
Mom has got it going.
I love how the drunk mom gets bars on all the windows, like, in a couple of hours.
Hours.
Glenn's like, I see your mom went crazy with home security.
That's amazing service, though. You can just, in 84, you can just call someone up. Hey, can you be here in 10 minutes? Sure. Bar up every window.
That's because she blows everyone.
So they're not living together. She's an extreme alcoholic, but she's not living with the dad.
No, they're definitely. I never once ever thought they were living together. It's pretty clear that they're not. Yeah. But they don't say what happened. Probably the whole incident tore them apart or something. But who knows? Maybe John Saxon was just. John Saxon was just. You know, slap another gash. You never know.
And Glenn was also, speaking of being a lug, like, Glenn was kind of not.
He was really dumb. Either. He was really dumb.
Did you see that crop top? Of course he was.
I do like the scene though when his mom goes. I like the scene when his mom goes in there. He's like, "How can you listen to the TV and listen to the music at the same time?" He's like, "Oh, but Miss Mood's going to be on at midnight." He's like, "How are you going to know what she says? Like, who cares what she says? Nobody cares."
That scene where him and Nancy are on the bridge, I've walked right past that bridge before. That's in Los Angeles.
Venice Canals?
Yeah. And
I was trying to find which bridge.
I knew you would probably know it because there's a lot of those that scene right there.
A lot of movies have been filmed there too.
A ton of movies have been shot right on that bridge. Yeah. And when she's telling him about things, and then the one moment where Glenn shows like he could be helpful is when he found out some information about like dream lore or whatever, you know, but I love it that he's like, yeah, you know, the dreams, blah, blah, blah. And he's just pulling out a burger and like pulling out fries and zucchini. And he's just so much more interested in eating his food on the bridge, but he's trying to give her information. But then even when she says like, I have a plan, you have to do this for me, he's just like, yeah, sure. So he's kind of a shitty boyfriend because if I had a girlfriend that was going through that, regardless of whether I thought it was real, I would do what she asked. Just
you're straight?
Be there, you know? Yeah, very much so, sir.
Okay. No, but again, like listening to the audio commentary and I think that this is one of the rules of writing, is that everyone who dies should have a fatal flaw. And Wes Craven himself said that the reason that Glenn dies is because he's lazy and gluttonous.
Never took it seriously. Yeah.
No.
Here's a nice catch by Slasher Fred. He says, during Glenn's death, the radio call letters are basically Kruger without the vowels, KRGR.
Yes.
I never picked up on that.
I didn't either.
I knew that.
Slasher Fred is a beast.
That's why Slasher Fred and me are friends.
He also says that in Dream Warriors, they kind of do a version of Nancy getting stuck in the gooey stairs when Kristen is being chased by Freddy and she's carrying the little girl which she saved.
Can we talk about the gooey stairs?
The gooey stairs we've all had that dream, right? Where you can't move your legs. You can't walk for some reason. Oh,
I've not had that dream. I've lived a different.
You've never had a dream where you have to get to a destination and you can't get there because your legs aren't working.
My legs have genuinely not worked for a long time. I've lived that shit.
Yeah.
But no, I don't have it. Like, I've never had, like, people say every once in a while to me, oh, everybody's had the flying dream. I'm like, I've not. It's like it's weird. Anytime my dreams start to break the laws of physics, I wake up. Like, if it gets too supernatural or something weird happens, and I'm a creative person and imaginative, I love all that stuff. But if it happens in my dream, I just snap out, awake instantly.
Yeah. Cat subconscious is like, I disagree with this, and I'm done.
I mean, unrealistic things can happen, but not unrealistic scientifically, just situations that I probably wouldn't be in. But if it's supernatural or if it's breaking physics or science, then I'm awake.
I agree with you on the physics part. Like, if I'm gonna walk off a cliff, I'll wake up. But I will have a dream where, like, I am the director and conductor of a dog improv class. Like, I've had dreams like that before where, wait
a minute.
I teach dogs how to improv comedy.
Tom,
you might want to lay off the alcohol.
No, I refuse.
Or the Moo Guy Pan. The Moo Guy Pan.
I've had dreams where welcome to our conversation about Nightmare on Elm Street, where we talk about dreams, which is
isn't that the point?
Appropriate.
That's the point.
I've had dreams where I've been Spider-Man, and in the middle of the dream, I was like, "Wait a second, I'm not Spider-Man," and then this web swinging, it stops working. So I get where you're coming from.
Here's one that for Scotty. Fred says, speaking of Jay and the Silent Bob, in the scene when they're doing a behind the scenes of a Charmed episode, you have it being directed by the late Wes Craven. And to piggyback further, Wes Craven directed Scream 3, where he and Jay and the Silent Bob all have cameos in the same scene as tourists on the Backlot tour.
That was a deal that they made, right, Scotty?
Bob?
Scotty, didn't Kevin Smith make a deal with Wes Craven that they were going to cameo in each other's movies? There was something to that.
No, they asked, like, Wes Craven asked, I think, and and Kevin Smith and Jay were like, okay. And then when they made Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back, it was like, Wes.
And I love it that it was Shannon Doherty in that scene too, which is great.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Like, great.
God rest. Rest in peace, Shannon Doherty.
Slasher Fred says, in the opening of the movie, when Tina enters the boiler room, it's almost a reverse of escaping the monster's cave. Well, of course it is. Because you're being drawn straight into the monster's lair. Interesting that he would take the idea that he would take kids to a boiler room. I guess it's I'm not sure exactly what. I can't remember what Wes Craven said inspired that idea.
This is what high school is like. It's boiler
I think he said something like that. Like in a high school where he'd seen it, it just seemed like a really dark and creepy place.
It's just a creepy atmosphere. Yeah. I think.
Yeah. Well, I think the implication isn't it supposed to be in a school in the movie?
No, the remake made it into the school, the basement of the school, but I don't think that was ever talked about in the original movie or anything like that. But the remake made it really gross, where he took like kids down to the basement of the thing. And
yeah. I just saw that one for the
that
first
movie
time.
is fucking
I've
joyless.
never seen it. I've never seen it.
Absolute shit. It's a terrible remake.
They should have just brought Robert Englund back to play Fred Krueger and done like a new movie instead of a remake.
The Jackie Earle Haley version.
Well, it's kind of like it's one of those things where it's like, he's not going to be around forever, and because Freddy vs. Jason was way back in 2003. It's like it's 2024 now, and it looks like he could still play it. He's still got it. I mean, he and Heather Langenkamp
was only 7 years after Freddy vs. Jason. He could have totally still done a movie. Yeah.
The final time that Robert Englund played Freddy was on an episode of The Goldbergs.
Yeah.
And that was a great episode.
I heard that. Yeah.
And he and Heather Langenkamp are actually, last month they were on the press junket promoting the 4K release of Nightmare, and I think there were some theatrical releases. It didn't come out near me, but they were doing some work promoting it and everything. And they both look like they're great, and that they'd be totally game to come back for another one. But
well, and that's exactly. I saw that that promotional tour, and that was the first time that I was actually intrigued with having sex with a 60-year-old woman. She's 60, right? And then B, I realized that she was so much out of my league. I don't know if she's married. Hey, Heather, if you're listening to this. Anyway.
I think Sean's right. This is becoming a stalker video.
Yeah. Welcome to
send me a Funko Pop.
State evidence number 1, and we'll all be hauled into court and questioned about this.
If you're coming to Niagara Falls, happy 40th anniversary.
Yes, let Ben.
Can I bring? Oh, I'm sorry, Kat. Go ahead.
Yeah, go. Yeah, I'm trying to get your attention.
I was going to bring up the scene that I find really fascinating. We talked about it, Scotty, when we did our show, which was the sleep clinic. I love that scene. I love that scene for so many different reasons, because it's the first time you see people from the outside watching Nancy sleep and what she's doing while she's going through the nightmare physically from the outside. And you get that little line, which I always love. And I thought the music came up so perfectly when she's like, "What are dreams, doctor?" And I love it. She's just fucking pounding away on her cigarette.
Yeah, I know.
And he's just like, mysteries. The truth is, we still don't know what they are, where they come from. I just love that, because we still don't. Nothing's changed. We still don't.
That's great. And Charles Fleischer, Roger Rabbit himself.
Oh, is that the voice?
Yeah. Yep, that's Roger Rabbit.
Oh shit! I knew that guy, but I didn't know he.
And he used to be on like Welcome Back, Carter. He's been on a lot of things. He's been out.
He also had a bit role in Back to the Future Part 2, cleaning.
Yeah, the old man. The old man who, I wish I just had some money. So I could go back in time and put the money on the
cubbies.
I put some money on the game. Yeah, okay. But
and then you see him in the flashback in 1955. He's the one who cleaned Biff's car after it got hit with a manure.
The mechanic. Yeah.
But what do you guys think about this sleep clinic scene? I think it's it's really great, because it breaks up everything else that's been happening in the movie and puts it into like science's hands for one scene,
It reminded me of the scene in The Exorcist when they take Reagan to get the CT scan, and they're trying to figure out what's going on. And just like this, the music picks up, like you said, at just the right moment. But I thought it was really funny when she wakes up and she has the hat, and where did you bring that hat? And nobody's like weirded out by it, and for some reason when they go home, and then the mom for some reason didn't throw it away. She just put it in the drawer in the kitchen.
She put it in the drawer in the kitchen, and then she bars up the windows, knowing that everything her daughter said was true. And if she was if she had actually been in the presence of Freddy, she would know that hat, know the look of it, possibly even the smell of it. Like that would jar a memory. That would bring back a memory.
You could see it in her eyes. The mom recognized it the minute she pulled it out from under the blanket.
She's just tanked. Like with that scene where she's on the couch, she's like, "I had to bar up all the windows." Like, but I really do love that clinic scene, because it just adds this different element to the movie, where it's like the hopelessness really comes to fruition there, where it's like these people can't do anything. Yeah, they can sit there and they can study her while she sleeps, but they still don't know anything. Measuring brainwaves doesn't matter. It's just a well done scene. And I agree with you, Kat. It's almost shot exactly like the Exorcist scene when they bring Reagan in for the scan. Yeah. So I do love that scene.
Tasha Fred says, if you guys ever see that movie Alone in the Dark, directed by Jack Shoulder, one of the escaped convicts says that he's from Springwood, which is Freddy's neighborhood. That's true. The Nightmare on Elm Street films take place in Springwood, Ohio. Fictional place. But you could find the house, 1428 Elm Street, on I forget the name of the actual street, but it's in Los Angeles.
Yeah, there's a Twitter video of this poor woman that wanted to go and take a picture in front of it, and it's owned by like some rich Iranian man. Have you seen this, Tom? And he just fucking destroys her. Get away from my house.
No, there are people that are
she
like
was just
that.
trying to take a picture in front of the house. What's that?
You know, there are certain places where people are like that. If you live in an iconic house, they will, no, we don't want that. Like, I think the people that owned the Full House place didn't want people in it there in front of it. And then I think the creator of Full House ended up
why did you buy it?
You know?
Yeah, it's like your real estate agent probably should have told you the guy who bought because the Elm Street house only went on sale a couple of years ago was when it got sold.
Yeah. This poor lady was just trying to take a picture in front of it. She wasn't trying to knock on the door or anything. And this guy just came out and just like ate her alive. And I just felt so bad for her.
Like somewhere in Los Angeles is.
Oh, wait, was she doing it like a selfie or was she just taking a picture of the house?
She had like a husband or something. They were like walking dogs and her husband like took a picture of her.
I can see if the guy wasn't familiar with the movie that he'd be kind of creeped out by that. It's like, why are people taking pictures of
they weren't even at the doorstep. They were way back, like on the
right.
sidewalk.
But still, it's like if you see somebody doing that, I can see how that would.
There's no way that dude didn't know that was the
real estate agent might have lied.
Like I know in
I don't
Los
see many
Angeles,
pictures outside the Halloween house on Sunset.
I know somewhere in Los Angeles there, or somewhere in California, is the Pee-wee's Big Adventure house.
Yeah.
And the people that own it allow people to go by and take pictures in front of it. And if you're really lucky, the owner will come out and tell you a bit about what it's like there and to have it and stuff like that. Because when
that's how you
died,
in
can you go in the
Pasadena,
kitchen and see the whole cool invention he made for cooking his breakfast?
Yeah, in Pasadena, the house from in Halloween where Laurie's sitting on the stoop on the corner with the pumpkin waiting to get picked up. Apparently, the owners there for the longest time would have a pumpkin available year round, like a fake one or something, so fans can come by and
they still do it. Yeah, they still do it.
They still do it. And the guy who owns the house where Michael's standing in front of the hedge and walks back. Yeah, he's cool with people coming by and recreating it on their smartphones or taking pictures and stuff.
Yeah,
so that's pretty neat.
As long as you're not there to be disruptive or do something stupid, you can go. And as long as you say, hey, I'm just doing this and I'll leave. Don't want to bother you. Like, I know every now and then there's the Gamble house. That was Doc Brown's house from Back to the Future. And they do tours of that place.
And I heard a fan. Yeah. A fan bought the Buffalo Bill's house from Silence of the Lambs, and he actually decked it out because he wants to turn it into a tourist attraction.
Yeah, that's what I heard about that. Yeah.
I think it finally opened.
That'd be an awesome trip. But we do a video series on it. The houses from movies.
Mm-hmm.
And we just go to the different houses.
The neat thing is, another thing about Halloween, what's kind of neat is that the exteriors were one house or two houses, but the interiors were completely different houses, either next door or across the street from the on the main street off Sunset Boulevard, which I thought was kind of fun.
Like I know the Home Alone house was up for sale, or it's still up for sale, something like that. But all the inside of it was done in a gymnasium in a school out in Illinois or something like that. And I think they did the same thing for Uncle Buck as well. They did the same inside job.
And
like that, yeah.
And apparently for some years after the original Nightmare on Elm Street, fans would find out where the boiler room was and would try and go there to take pictures. And only when they found out about the asbestos, they gutted, I think, the whole place. but I'm pretty sure it was in the basement of a library or a school or something in Lincoln. I think it was Lincoln Heights. I'm fairly sure.
I would assume that it wasn't even shot in like different angles of the boiler room were probably in different locations, right? Like it probably. I mean, it wasn't a stage because they didn't have the money for that. But
no, they did. It was on location. Let me see if it was. Let me double check.
Like when I was talking about like the people who became really big directors from directing these things, one of the women that worked in the movies for Nightmare on Elm Street ended up directing, I think, 6, and that was Rachel Talalay, who now every now and then directs episodes of Doctor Who. She did. She's done a lot of them. Yeah,
the one who did Freddy's Dead. That actually makes kind of sense because
she worked her way up. It's like a PA and all that stuff.
But Freddy's Dead's got that really weird aesthetic, so that kind of makes sense. Yeah.
Oh, here's something crazy. Apparently, they offered the role of Freddy Krueger to Charlie Sheen, and Charlie Sheen confirms it.
He's the real life Freddy Krueger.
He says, "Here's the quote." He says, "I didn't price myself out of it because I didn't get greedy until years later. That was much later. I just didn't get it. And I've never been more wrong about interpreting a script. I just didn't get it completely, but I still took a meeting with Wes. And when I met him, I said, look, with all due respect and as a fan of your talents, I just don't see this guy wearing a funny hat with a rotted face and a striped sweater and a bunch of clacky fingers. I just don't see this catching on." And he says,
well, in his defense, he was a young guy at that time, so maybe he just didn't get it.
I get it. It's totally cool. I just think that's kind of a neat
I think that's the same
no. I wasn't talking about you. I was talking about his quotes. Yeah.
I think that may have been the same thing that Pacino said about Star Wars. I didn't.
And they also filmed at the same high school from Grease in Pretty in Pink. Shot in 32 days, beginning June 11th, 1984. The address is 1420 North on North Genesee Avenue, right? Let's see. The boiler room scenes and police station interior were shot in the Lincoln Heights jail, which had been closed since 1965. The exterior used was another place. The exterior was a library. The interior and the basement, where the boiler room was, the Lincoln Heights jail. So 500 gallons of fake blood were used in special effects.
Yeah, I've heard that before. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And they shot it up. They shot that upside down too, right?
Yeah.
I think that thing with the blood.
They did design Freddy's sleeping quarters in the boiler room. They built that section of it.
I think the blood thing ended up in the Guinness Book of World Records because of that. I may be wrong.
But I mean, like the way it shot up, wasn't it initially shot down and then, or I think I heard that. But Tom, where'd you go? I need you, buddy.
I'm here. I'm just wiping my nose.
Oh yeah, I've been doing that a lot this month, man. My allergies are going.
Oh, here's funny that when you were mentioning, Ben, about how Rod was just kind of weird when he's talking to her and stuff. He says when they were filming the scene conversing in jail, that he was high on heroin when they were filming that scene.
The actor was?
Yeah, he says in 2014, he said he was high on heroin during the scene with Nancy in the jail cell. His eyes were watery and they weren't focused. I thought, wow, he's giving the best performance of his life, Nancy said. But then Nick's like, no, I was
That's why his skin was blue. Yeah.
Yeah, he said he was snorting heroin in the bathroom between takes.
You know, I've talked to that guy on Twitter once, the actor that played Rod, because me and John tried to get him on Cinemagope years ago for a Halloween show. And I didn't talk to him. We conversed like over 2 very short Twitter messages, but he's super religious now. So I'm guessing maybe he had like some kind of drug problem and then became a religious person. That makes sense. Cause I don't think he does Q&As for these movies, but we tried. Well, we knew we couldn't get Heather. We knew we couldn't get Johnny Depp. And
Scott's background doing what he was doing in the bathroom. Nice for you to join us, Scott.
Your mom.
Don't look at me like I'm some fucking fruitcake.
So apparently Wes Craven originally planned for the movie to have a more evocative ending, saying that Nancy killed Freddy and then awakens to discover that everything that happened in the film was an elongated nightmare. But Robert Shea is the one who demanded a twist ending, which is why they added that.
Well, because they wanted a sequel. Yeah.
Well,
you take my nice.
Hey, DJ Play.
Hey,
Rock.
what's up, dude?
DJ Play
What's up,
Nice.
my brother? My first ever super chat right there. My first ever super chat right there.
But like there was a moment in the film where she like jumps out of something and then she falls, and there was a blue screen situation where she falls through like heaven or doesn't like it's one of those. It was the falling dream. Everyone's had the falling dream, right?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
And that's what they were gonna try and recreate, and then just budgetary reasons they had to cut it out.
Okay, while we're here talking and celebrating the 40th anniversary of Nightmare on Elm Street, can we and I've been blowing this movie for an hour and a half, but can I say, and I
you got a little something on your chin from blowing the movie.
Oh God! Oh my God! I want to pose this question.
I
don't have a statement. I want to pose this question to the panel and to the chat.
Yes.
Is the weakest part of this movie the way that she, quote unquote, defeats him by turning her back and him going, oh, and just disappearing?
No,
it is, right?
No. I disagree. Okay. I think it is for like what, 1984? 1980.
I'm not talking about the effects. I'm talking about
No, I'm not talking about the effects. I think it's actually really quite impactful.
Okay.
In performance and in philosophy. Like she looks at him and says, I'm taking away all of the power that you have over me. I'm taking back all of my care. You cannot do anything to me. And that, I love that. I love that.
Here, okay, and I like your answer, Scotty, but here's my other question. Since you're the one that answered that, I have a second question. Where do you think that sent Freddy when he dissolved into the pixels? Because is that just knocking him out of her dreams? Is that sending him to whatever? Like, what was that supposed to signify? What was that supposed to say happened? Like, I don't believe you anymore, so goodbye. And then he goes, oh, is that supposed to mean that he's just kicked out of her dreams?
And into her heart?
It's kind of like odd that what finally does him in is her just saying the obvious that, oh, you're not real. And then he just conveniently, it's like, and it almost looks like a TV white noise when he's disappearing.
Yeah, that's exactly what it looks like. Yeah.
Yeah, like,
but she says you're not real, but she literally brought him into the real world.
Right.
That was the point.
No, it isn't that he isn't. It's not that he isn't real. It's that he has no power.
Right. Because I think that's also part of
it's still phantom logic. Like, I'm not saying I'm right.
Well, that's part of what Wes's original ending was too, because he wanted a definitive that she stopped believing in him. The reason you would think it's an elongated nightmare is because she still goes outside and gets in the car with her friends, but people are like, well, if her friends are alive, does that mean the whole thing was just a dream and they didn't actually die? You know?
Eugene Bird is alive.
Yes, he is.
Hey.
Funny, I read that Jackie Earle Haley, who played Freddy Krueger in the remake, actually was friends with Johnny Depp at the time and accompanied him to his audition for the film in 1984.
No Jackie Earle Haley was fine. It wasn't his fault. They CGI'd his face. Like, I mean, he was okay. Like, what was he supposed to do? He wasn't going to try to do the exact same thing. You know, it's got to be hard. Like, what do I do? You know?
Yeah.
So he tried something different and it didn't work.
Apparently, Wes Craven talked to Kane Hodder as well, who went on to play Jason a few times, and was going to offer the role to him.
I want to see this, Scotty. We talked about this. I want to see this Kevin Bacon thing happen. Robert Englund and Kevin Bacon both want them, or Robert Englund wants Kevin Bacon to be Freddy Krueger. Kevin Bacon wants to be Freddy Krueger. Do it. Do it. I'd be totally down for that. If you guys have seen Hollow Man, he almost sounds like Freddy Krueger in Hollow Man.
Yeah, I know. And as far as I know, I mean, New Line still has the rights. I mean, it's not like there's a problem. I mean, yeah, the remake tanked and everybody hated it, but I don't see why they couldn't return to Nightmare. Maybe they would, and since Robert Englund keeps insisting you should try Kevin Bacon, it's like, yeah, why not?
Dude, he's perfect. Like, and because he doesn't have to like go, oh, should I try to emulate this or should I try to do something different? All he has to do is be crazy Kevin Bacon, and he already knows how to do that. Just be the Hollow Man guy, but in the Freddy makeup. Done. I'm sold. Or Nick Cage. He's always your fallback plan for. Imagine a Nick Cage Freddy Krueger.
I don't want a new Nightmare on Elm Street. I want people to discover this Nightmare on Elm Street. I think that this
I'm coming
one
for you, Nancy.
I think that this one is better than anything. I want people to be able to appreciate the artistry of what has already been created as opposed to trying to make a new money grubbing. I know I sound like an Amish. A money grubbing remake. And that's what they did with Jackie Earl Haley, and they did him dirty.
I'm not
Scotty. If you remember, A Bloody Good Year, your idea. Remember, we did a thing where all three of us went around the panel. We said, "What would you like to see next?" I remember
nothing.
Your idea was the best because it was like, don't make a remake. Just keep going. Just keep going. Don't do the original movie over. But yeah, sorry, Kat.
Bob Englund.
I wasn't advocating doing a remake, Scott. I'm saying because of the nature of what A Nightmare on Elm Street is, there's no shortage of possibilities you can of inventing or doing weird things with it. So why not try another one? And again, Robert Englund's still game.
Yeah, just have another movie. They did it with
Heather Langenkamp is still
where it's like,
good looking.
Oh, just discount 3, 4, and 5, and 9 and 12 or whatever, and just say that the new Nightmare on Elm Street takes place after Nightmare on Elm Street 3.
And do it as an actual movie, and don't do it. And don't do it as a legacy sequel. And don't do it as a legacy sequel full of references. Just have it be another movie.
No, a new movie. Yeah. Something tells me Kevin Bacon, if he had any pull, he'd be like, "Do not make this a member berry thing." Like he's just not one of those kind of dudes.
No, Robert Englund would be Freddy Krueger. And then Kevin Bacon would also have been burnt in a fire, and his name would be Niles.
His name would be Dick Kroger.
Yeah. Eugene says at that age he won't need makeup. Oh, come on.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's
also a thing.
At this point, all you have to do is paint his face red. Yeah, you don't need to.
Hello, Jill.
Hey,
Jill.
Oh, hello, Jill.
What's going on, lady girl? I've got the body and you've got the brains.
Yeah, great line. You're all my children now.
Oh my god!
Part 2 is nuts.
Part 2 is pretty fucked up.
It's nuts. It's crazy.
Yeah,
people got to get over like the gay allegory and it's a good slasher horror movie.
I think that gay twist to it, it's fantastic for it.
Like, no, I'm not saying it's bad. It's that's all people talk about when they talk about it.
Yeah, everyone says it's a gay movie.
Well, I never knew that till years later.
Till you were gay.
Never got that. Well, I'm certainly not gay, and also I'm not someone that's stalking.
Get defensive. I'm not going to suck your cock.
I'm certainly someone that's not stalking Heather Langenkamp.
Well, that makes me obviously heterosexual.
Okay. Can we keep it on the film, please, Scotty?
Yes. Welcome, everyone. Don't forget to like and subscribe. This is a Fantasmagorium, and yes.
A wonderful
but like I do think that the second one is scarier, but I did again watching the audio commentary list, and it would have been recorded in 1993, and it was the most adorable thing. Heather Langenkamp was, oh my stars, a gateway drug into the Nightmare on Elm Street. I only have this one. on physical, and I want to get all of the rest of them now, just so I can watch the Heather Langenkamp ones.
I've always said the original Nightmare on Elm Street, which is the one we're celebrating right now, is
40 years,
an hour and 22 minutes of pure horror masterclass.
I think it's a perfect movie.
Masterpiece.
I think it's perfect.
I think it's one of the most original horror movies ever made. It changed the slasher genre where people didn't know what to do at that point. And if you notice, a lot of slasher movies kind of fell to the wayside after this one because they're like, oh shit, well, we can't just have people in a camp now unless we're Friday the 13th, because now there's a guy in your dreams that can kill you that has a claw hand. I think the last 8 minutes of this movie aren't as good as the rest of it.
It does turn into Home Alone.
It doesn't know what to do.
Does.
Dude, have you seen the edit? Have you seen the Home Alone edit of the scene? There's a scene where it's the music and there's a great YouTube edit that I wish I had done where it's where she's got all her booby traps and stuff. And
like Wes Craven says that he was inspired by coming up with the claw hand from his cats.
But even in the audio commentary, when Freddy Krueger passes through the jail bars, he's like, I'm pretty sure Jim Cameron ripped that off from me.
Well, that's another scene that makes no sense. Like, why? I don't know. Like that scene, that whole scene's a little weird. Like, it's kind of the dark horse death scene of the movie.
Well, it's just we have to kill Rod.
We have to kill Rod,
that exists.
And we have to make it look like he killed himself. I get that, but it's just like Freddy does things that don't.
He really... totally Jeffrey Epstein.
But here's the thing: Rod is asleep. He's not dreaming.
Yes.
Nancy is watching Freddy kill Rod, but Rod's not having a nightmare.
Yeah, but also
again, he's asleep the whole time.
Maybe it's Nancy. Maybe Nancy's having the nightmare, and that
killed Rod. Yeah, that's possible. It's possible.
So how do we know he's not having a nightmare when he's asleep?
Well, no, but we just don't see it. Is what I mean. We just don't see it. He's just laying in bed and
die.
We just see
we do see him not kill himself.
Freddy.
Well, I think that feeds into the theory: is the movie just Nancy's dream, like a whole nightmare?
That's
the end of the movie. So when she gets clamshelled into the
car.
What do you call it? The car.
Convertible.
But it all comes down to Tina. Tina's dreams at the beginning, Nancy has no part of. So that's kind of another thing you have to kind of. But maybe Nancy's dream starts after that, and then the whole rest of the movie's a dream. You know?
Do we think this is Wes Craven's best film?
Oh, dude, I like 3. I like 3 movies of his, almost all tied. Oh, goodness gracious. That's a tough one.
What are your favorite movies of his?
This one, Scream, and People Under the Stairs.
People Under the Stairs.
That last one I still have on my watch list.
I gotta say,
I remember seeing that at the movies.
I gotta say, from beginning to end, Scream is the better movie because it's almost like a perfect horror movie. But I think innovation, creativity, and all that stuff, it's definitely Nightmare on Elm Street when it comes to that. And then
what really impressed me about it is that he wrote Nightmare sort of on a whim. Like he said, it only took him a couple months to write it because he needed another job. It's like he got the idea, of course, from the story about the Hmong refugees who were having these night terrors and were dying in their dreams, or like dying for real from having these night terrors. And it was like he thought it was the most bizarre story and really creepy. And apparently there was a particular news story about a little boy who was trying to stay awake as long as he could because he was so afraid of it and describing things like that. And he had odd, unexplained injuries and died in his sleep as well. And Wes just thought that was so, and that's just kind of how he got the idea and just took off from there.
Huh. I heard a little
bit
about
there murders involved?
No.
Yeah.
I think so. But that was you gonna say something, Tom?
I was, and I completely forgot what I was going to say. Oh, I think the only murders that were probably involved with the ones that Scott has been doing to get towards Heather Langenkamp.
I knew you were going to say that.
There were only 2 murders there, allegedly.
Yeah, but it's I agree that Scream is the better movie because it doesn't have any kind of falling apart bit, but Nightmare is definitely more original and has that eerie.
It's way more original. Yeah.
Nightmare also just has that eerie, creepy sense there. Scream, I don't feel like, other than the opening sequence in Scream, the rest of it I don't see so much as a horror movie. It's kind of like a fun teen like slasher.
I agree with you. But the last 30 minutes of Scream is so intense. When you watch it for the first time, it is so fucking intense, you know. But yeah, Nightmare on Elm Street is, like I said, it's a one of a kind. Nothing's ever been like it. I mean, they've tried. There was movies called Bad Dreams that came out. You know, things tried to kind of copy it, but nothing's even come close to the creativity of it. And like you said, Kat, just the eeriness of part 1 for the first 2/3 of it, and the mystery of what's going on, the music, it all just works so well. And yeah, maybe you just didn't know how to end it, or maybe studio said, like, don't end it, just make it ambiguous because we want to do more or something. I don't know, but I just wish it had stuck to landing. I couldn't tell you what I would have wanted it to end as, but that's the only little nitpick I have, is like it doesn't end great. But
well, yeah,
so much of that movie made me scared out of my pants when I was a kid. So
because when she does, defeat Freddy in the end, the fact that they didn't answer the question in the first movie as to why is he suddenly a demon or whatever, and it's like, well, he can come back,
Yeah. Well, the second one's the only like kind of plausible one where it's like he finds this other loophole to come back. The third one, he's just there. And then the fourth one, a dog takes a piss and he comes back to life. Like, they become so ridiculous, like how he keeps getting rebirthed. But the second one makes the most sense. It's like he never was dead from the first one, but he does need to kind of come out to the world or whatever. And like Tom said, come out of the closet, or come out of Jesse.
I do think that Wes Craven's best movie is The Serpent and the Rainbow.
Oh, that's a good one. That's a good one.
I think I would have liked that movie
right?
a lot.
Bill Pullman?
It was, and I would have liked that movie so much more if they had a more knowledgeable protagonist than some tourist guy. It's like, no. Like he's pretending like he knows a lot about it, but he kind of doesn't. It's like,
Hey, that sounds like me.
Yeah.
That is a good one, though, Scotty. I do like that movie. That's a good one.
So
I'd have to bring up his whole filmography. The 3 I named are the ones that came off the top of my head.
Well, I've got it right here, actually. There's he has, Last House on the Left, Deadly Blessing, which I believe was a TV film.
I haven't seen it.
Hills Have Eyes.
I love the original Hills Have Eyes.
Yeah, it's a good one. Let's see, Nightmare on Elm Street, Swamp Thing, Case Busters, a TV movie, a Disney TV movie. Apparently, he did. Deadly Friend in 1986, which was something that he admits he just did because he desperately needed the money and it just wasn't any good.
I'm actually rather surprised that he did a segment in Paris Je T'aime.
Mm-hmm. Serpent in the Rainbow, Shocker, People Under the Stairs, New Nightmare, Vampire in Brooklyn, the Scream trilogies, all 4 Scream films.
Cursed was a movie that
Cursed is his worst movie. Cursed is his worst movie ever made.
But it was decimated by the studio because of a purchase.
No, I heard that. I did hear that. Yeah, but
that movie sucks. Dude, Ben, sort of derail everything. Cursed is one of those movies that was intended to be an R-rated movie.
No, I heard all about it. Yeah.
Oh my god! And
when they said Wes Craven's doing a werewolf movie, I was like, "Fuck all day, yes."
With Christina Ricci, no less.
Christina Ricci. That was Jesse Eisenberg's one of his.
He also made Music of the Heart. He made Red Eye with Cillian Murphy and Rebecca or Rachel McAdams.
I liked Red Eye. Yeah.
The apparent Let's see. Producer on the Hills Have Eyes remake, which was awful. Let's see. Producer and a couple other things. Producer. Oh, My Soul to Take, which was another one that was horribly reviewed. I didn't see it.
I don't think I saw that either.
Yeah, and that was pretty much it. He
well, Scream 4. I forgot Scream 4.
Well, Scream 4 was his last, but I mean, My Soul to Take was his last original film.
Oh, gotcha.
Then
I'm glad he went out on Scream 4. I like Scream 4 quite a bit, personally.
Yeah. And then he was interviewed for a documentary about Bergman.
I'm probably do this in the private chat, but I'm just going to say it out loud. Can I go?
Okay. You can go if you want. We'll keep going.
All right.
Are you leaving, Scotty?
Yeah, I'm leaving.
What rating do you give it out of 10?
10.
Okay.
This is one of the best horror movies, one of the best boogeyman movies, one of the best final girl movies, one of the best villains of all time, one of the best supporting casts of all time. This is a movie that whenever anyone says, "Do you want to watch Nightmare on Elm Street?" I'm like, yes. I love this movie so much.
I watched it 3 times in October.
Yeah.
Twice because we were doing a show on it, but once because I'm like, this fucking movie rocks in October. You know, it just does.
And even if you get behind the scenes, all the people who love it, like the director, Rest Wes, like all the creatives behind it, how much they cared about making this fantasy. It's amazing. I can't believe this exists. And I'm so happy that it does. Oh my God.
I give it 10 slashed little girls.
Exactly.
Oh, how dare you?
I give it an uppercut with a knife claw. I give it a Leland Orser.
I call it 10 slashes to the penis while trying to do my business with that claw on.
I give it
with a claw.
I give it a 9.
No, I don't really give it a 10. I give it a 9 as well, Kat. Sorry, but go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah, I give it a 9 because or almost an 8.5 or a 9 around there. But it's very good.
Yeah. No, I think Kat and I are on the exact same page.
If that's your attitude, I'm leaving.
Good.
I love you guys. I'll see you soon.
Love you, guys.
Hey, Tom. Bye.
Bye, Mr. Fake Canada.
Yes. Hello.
Don't do a Burnett goodbye. Either you're staying and we're going to keep talking or you're leaving.
Good point. Good point.
Okay, there we go. Jesus, he's so waiting. Keep going. I'm probably going to go smoke, but
I'm going to go. Hold on. Let me tell you about 7 different things before I go. Wait, now make it about 10. Nah, we'll go another 20.
Jesus Christ.
Oh, man, there's a bunch of conversation in the chat, but they seem to be just talking to each other. Yeah. So I also found it funny when it's like, oh, it's Springwood, Ohio, and then you go to like the Venice canals, which I don't think they've ever stood in for being anywhere other than the Venice Beach canals. It's like, no, I don't think this is Ohio, dude. It did look very SoCal. Oh yes, Jill says, oh yes, there was one time I was graced with Robert Meyer Burnett on my panel. He said he was leaving and stayed for another hour.
What was the panel you had? We had him on. Was the
I have a similar story to that, Kat. I've had a time where Robert Meyer Burnett said he was going to be on my panel and then never showed up. Sorry.
Which one were you talking about, Tom?
I think you did a James Bond. You did a James Bond panel. You had Rob on, and I can only be here for an hour, and he was here for like another 3 hours or something like that.
Oh yeah, we went off topic so much that Scott and I just did another review of it the following week to do a proper one.
Yeah,
that was for Moonraker, but also we did Skyfall, which is great.
I stepped away for a second, Cap, but I heard you. Yes, the Venice canals. That scene is such a. It makes the whole movie vulnerable. Like it really exposes the fact that of where it is, because why would those be there? It makes no sense. There's like sailboats on the side. You're like, why is that there?
Yeah.
Unless it's trying to be like some like, yeah, it just doesn't make any sense. I mean, maybe they were just like, hey, you know what? Johnny Depp lives right by here and he's really stoned right now. So let's shoot this scene. You know, I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, sorry, Tom Jr. Jackson, you're still going.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah. Scotty says, like and subscribe, share, leave whenever you want.
I'm not going to be on the show right now, but I'm going to be in the chat. Make up your mind, Scott.
But yes, I do really like this movie. The score, the cast. I mean, again, Heather Langenkamp, almost a bit too ditzy, and some scenes were just really odd delivery. Like I thought it was really funny in the police station when, in the police station when her dad's like, "Why are you here?" She's like, "Oh, she was at the house," and she's like, "Oh, Mom, it wasn't." He's like, "Oh, didn't you say Rod and Tina were fighting?" He's like, "Well, wasn't that serious?" And her mom's like, "Well, maybe you don't think murder is serious." She's like, "Mom, how could you say that? I just meant the fight wasn't that serious." Yeah. And the whole delivery of those lines. I'm like, how
could you say it's not serious? Yeah. I do think she's quite good, and she's a lot better in 3 actually. You know, she's yeah. I kept waiting for John Saxon to kick somebody, you know, because he was in Enter the Dragon, and you know, he's a martial artist.
Don't talk to your mother that way. And the way he gets, he's like, don't say that name. You know, he wants to be serious in that movie, but you know, it's almost like he's like, okay, I'm just doing it for the money,
No, I think the movie, honestly, it's a real mixed bag of acting, because there's really good moments of acting, and then there's really cheesy ones, and that could be boiled down to the script being kind of corny and some of the younger actors not knowing how to deliver that. I thought Rod was fucking great. Like, he's very convincing and kind of a douchey. And I know that actor played that role in several other movies in the 80s, you know, kind of a similar like greaser guy. But he was very convinced.
Probably was typecast because of his role in this movie.
Yeah. You're probably like, oh, my leather jacket's hanging off the side and I got a switchblade. You know?
I do remember a story where Robert Englund said he and Johnny Depp were getting sick and tired of the catering food, which is usually macaroni and stuff, because it wasn't like very low, but like no budget movie. So one day they went to like a restaurant, it's like an Italian place where it was like I think it was, or no, maybe it was Japanese. And Robert is in full makeup and costume. And keep in mind, this is the original movie, so nobody knows what Freddy Krueger is. And I guess the waitress came out to deliver food to another table, saw them and freaked out and dropped the food everywhere and ran back in the kitchen.
Really? That?
Screaming. Yeah, she ran back in screaming, and then these guys came out, these busboys came out to see what she was screaming about, and then they saw him, and then they had to explain.
But this is before the movie? Oh, because they were in makeup. Yeah,
they were filming the movie, and him and Johnny Depp were just sick of eating mac and cheese and crap all the time, so they just went to some local restaurant.
You know, Johnny Depp was like, hey, Robert, I got some good grass and a good place where we can get some good food. Let's get high.
I wish Johnny would have come back to do audio commentary or something. Like, I don't like it when actors get like really big and they just kind of don't want to even acknowledge that they were in.
Yeah.
I mean, he did the Nightmare cameo a little bit, but
I mean, he does a lot of audio commentary, but just not for those. Well, because I don't think they've. I don't think
Johnny Depp's Pirates of the Caribbean commentary. Yeah, I did that movie really well.
Well, and he did the Fear and Loathing one's great. And the Fear and Loathing commentary is fucking great.
But his voice is so like, he's so shy doing it, but he's like, well, you know, I did that, and then I did it, and the way he just almost mumbles through it. I guarantee you, at some point, he was Johnny Depp, and he just automatically became Jack Sparrow, sort of like how Jeff Bridges became Rooster Coggins from True Grit.
Yeah.
Everything he talks about is like this, and I was in Iron Man, and it was great. It was great.
Well,
I got to shave my head.
I know that there's a very different perspective these days on the man, but I've always said Johnny Depp was one of our greatest living actors. He was a chameleon. He had some like personal things and blah blah blah, but like one of my favorite movies of all time is Ed Wood. I think he's just absolutely fucking brilliant in that movie. Mm-hmm. And a lot of other things too. I wish that he hadn't gotten involved with a person where they were going to explode on each other, and it kind of ruined him. But
and then she took a shot.
Well, but it can't take away. You can't take away from how good the guy was as an actor. So
blamed it on the cat, didn't he?
I'm not blaming anything on anyone. I'm just saying,
but didn't Johnny Depp end up saying that the cat did it in the bed or something like that? Or
he never said that. He never said that. No.
Got him and Amber. Thank you, Fantasmagorium. That would have been hilarious. Looking forward to the next episode.
That would have been hilarious if that came out in court. Well, someone took a shit in my bed, and then he said it was the cat. It didn't.
No, you say it's Freddy Krueger. Just say it was.
You said it was Freddy Krueger shit. Yeah.
Yeah, he left it behind from when they destroyed Glenn's bedroom.
It's because Robert Englund is still mad that he didn't even get the role in Star Wars. So he's just going to Johnny
Star Wars.
No, he's the one who got the script, and he gave it to his roommate and friend Mark Hamill. He's like,
no,
they gave it to him for Luke Skywalker, and he read it, and he's like, Mark, they wanted me to read for this. I think you'd probably be better for this. Why don't you read it?
Well, and that's right.
Yeah, he was, and he says he was right, and it was a good decision, and that's why we can thank Robert Englund for Luke Skywalker.
That's crazy. I didn't know they were.
And just think, we almost had Al Pacino. We almost had Al Pacino as Harrison Ford. I mean, Han Solo. I mean, just think of it. If just nowadays, if Pacino came back as the older Han Solo, I remember. It's true. It's all true.
Oh God!
The Jedi.
Oh, I'd love it if he flew down on the Death Star and he's just like, "Say hello to my little friend." Like before he blew. That would have been great.
Because back then his voice would have been like, how did it go? Like, yeah, it's the fastest ship.
It's funny. Pacino's known for being so intense, but he's such a soft-spoken person. It's almost ASMR.
I could totally picture him as Han Solo if instead of having Chewbacca, they would have John Cazale basically playing Sal again from the Dog Day Afternoon, where he doesn't say much and he's kind of just innocent. Where do you want to go? Wyoming. Wyoming. I'm stuck in this bank. You're outside. You're outside fretting that we're not releasing hostages, and I'm in here with a guy who doesn't know that Wyoming isn't a country, and you think you got problems.
That's a great movie too.
You're like, why is this guy I'm shooting named Greedo? He should be named Guido. Let's make him named Guido. Oh, that's funny, Kat. That's funny. Well, I have to say, you too.
Yeah, I think Yeah. Unless anybody has anything else to say, I think we're near about at the end because I didn't think it'd go this long, man. Hour 58.
Oh, I had a blast. I love this movie. I love talking about this movie. I appreciate the invite.
Oh, sure. So
join us next week as Scott discusses a Serbian film.
Yeah, don't watch
that.
Movie.
Not really. Not really. I don't know why I watched this film.
Why did you bring that up? Why did you bring us down?
Why did you say that name?
Why did you say that name?
Why did you say that name? All right. Anything else you guys have to say about it? Otherwise, we can just end the video now.
I'm good, but if anybody is watching that doesn't know about my channel, please come and check it out. Cinema Gulp, and I have a brand new Sideways movie 20th anniversary retrospect that I spent a lot of time on. If you want to check that out, if you don't want to do that, there's plenty of shows where we're just drinking and watching films.
Yep. And thank you to the chat, Affinity, and
if anybody who has nothing to do this Saturday morning. Coming up, Robert Burnett will be doing a live stream from 8 a.m. till midnight or so. It's his 1000th episode of Observations.
Yeah, I asked him. I watched his 999 show where he said he'll let anybody on. So I sent him a message and I said, "Can I come on?" And I got no response, which is a no.
So, oh no!
Send that in the link, Tom.
Yeah, I'll send you his email address.
You know what? I don't give a fuck. I'm fine. I'm busy that night.
Well, it could be in the morning of the day if it's a 16-hour stream.
I'm busy then too. Yeah, no, I'll be watching, but I don't need.
I love Finity's answer right there about a Serbian film.
Serbian film is okay if you enjoy mild family.
A Serbian film is a great. It's a great film.
Disney. It's a great
to pair up with
family movie.
I want to thank the chat: Eugene, Finity, Jill, DJ Play Nice, Rock,
Scott,
and Slasher Fred. It was great to meet. I haven't seen you before. Matt G. Thanks for showing up. And I think that is about that's everybody.
You want to thank Fred for being in the chat? Slasher Fred was the rock star, man.
Yeah.
Bringing the knowledge.
And thank you, Eugene. I appreciate that you like this outfit. I have a few more like this. I should wear more often.
And thanks to Ernesto, wherever you are out there.
Yes, he is in an IMAX theater right now watching Gladiator 2. All right. So until next time, keep on the lookout for our. We're gonna renew Cape Scouts and Crusaders, where we're gonna be reviewing the Batman comics. We haven't set a date for when we're gonna start or what day of the week. I'm maybe thinking Mondays or something. Not sure yet. So and Scott and I don't know what we're doing next Thursday, so we'll figure that out and get back to you. Maybe now that it occurs to me that we should have been doing these 40th anniversary videos all year long, we'll just pick some other 1984 movie.
You know, next Thursday is Thanksgiving.
Oh, that's right. We probably won't be doing a video then. Thanks for the reminder, John.
I was going to say, do you want to tell her or should I?
Happy 40th anniversary.
The 40th anniversary of Thanksgiving.
Later, you guys.
There you go. You guys can review Thanksgiving.